Today, we're looking at Private Reserve's Burgundy Mist. Hi, I'm Adam, and I'm an ink guy. I get inks, test them, and share the results with you. Now, Private Reserve's Burgundy Mist is a really nice red-magenta color. To make sure I have a range of experience with this inks, I do my writing samples. I then put it into a different ink for a day. Yep, I had to check my pen. I then put it into a Levenger True Writer with a broad nib to take my notes for this video. Now, before we get to the writing samples, let's look at the sciencey bits. And up first is a chromatography, and I agree with Vita that doing multiple chromatographies has taught me a lot. Looking at the one on the left, we see this kind of neat gray line on the bottom, gray greenish kind of line. This chromatography was done the way it's supposed to be done, and it's really interesting because we get this purpley area, then kind of white, then it gets to red with a very dark red at the top. Makes it very interesting to look at. Now the one on the right I let dry for 10 minutes before I dunk it into the water. We see a thick dark green line. It's got this little bit of blue at the very bottom. The blue that doesn't appear up top but did in the original. It pushes up with some pink into red with that dark magenta at the top. Resistance tests are done to see how this ink can be expected to hold up on paper, and more important, how hard it might be to clean out of your pen. I let the smear dry for 3 days before testing it. Looking at the highlighter, we see that it handles it very well. There's a little bit of blooming, I'll call it, at the G to H. Otherwise, it tends to actually do pretty well. I would still avoid this because of how it's sort of working with some of the letters that I'm afraid it would spread a little too much. Looking at the water, it completely reactivates and pulls off most of this ink, but we see this dark area left behind, which makes me feel like it might take a little more to get this one out of your pen. Now, when we look at the pen flush, it's almost turning white. That's only 30 seconds of pen flush there, and it's going to completely go away given some time, so pen flush might be the answer here. Bleach completely obliterates it. For the inks I've tested, I have found an average viscosity of 2.5, with the realm of normal being from 2.1 to 2.9. And Private Reserve's Burgundy Mist has a viscosity of 2.25, making it an absolutely normal flowing ink. Great. To find my average dry times, I use my writing samples of the extra fine and the medium nib, done on Clairefontaine, Tomoe River, and Rhodia paper. I average those. For the inks I've tested, I have found an average dry time of 17 seconds, with the realm of normal being from 13 to 21 seconds. Private Reserve's Burgundy Mist has an average dry time of 10 seconds, making it quite fast drying. It's definitely a fast drying ink. Outstanding. If that's what matters for you with a walk around pen and notebook, this is a good one to use. Now let's look at the writing sample. This ink I have in sample form. To keep my writing samples consistent, I use a Jinhao 159. Oh my goodness, my cords are all over me. With a 1.1 stub. I use a Jinhao X450 with a Goulet medium and a Jinhao X750 with a Goulet extra fine. Looking at Clairefontaine. We have no bleeding. No ghosting. On the 1.1, we have no feather, no spread, no echo, no sheen. We do have color variation, which is nice. A fair amount of color variation. It gets really light in some areas and keeps a dark blue in others, or dark turquoise in others. On the extra fine, no feather, no spread, no echo, no sheen. Some really nice color variation that goes on. It gets to really dark areas, really light areas. Very nice. Truly makes this stand out. 10 seconds to dry. On the medium, the colors are very much the same as what we get with the extra fine, which is nice, considering we do get very nice color variation. No feather, no spread, no echo, no sheen, no halo. Nice color variation. This is a beautiful looking ink to use. I like using this at school. The kids like seeing it, and when I use it, I tend to get questions. So this is a very nice ink. 13 seconds to dry.
When we look at a scrubby, the extra fine looks like it's going to have none, but we do get some color variation in the writing. And the medium shows us much more of what we get in both. On the smear, both of these would be recoverable. So if you're using this for note taking, you would be able to recover it. On the Tomoe River, no bleeding, definite ghosting, because it's Tomoe River. On the 1.1, we have no feather, no spread, no echo, no sheen, no halo, nice color variation. This is a pretty ink, a very pretty turquoise. On the extra fine, we have no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, not very much color variation, almost none. The spots that have it, you would almost have to really just hone in on it and say, nope, it's there because I can see a tiny bit. Not so much. 16 seconds to dry. On the medium, no feather, no spread, no echo, no sheen, no halo. Some color variation, some in spots. Not a ton. I wouldn't consider this really a shading ink on this paper. Looking at the scrubby, we see that there's almost no color variation, and on the smear, on Tomoe River, you almost never get to actually recover it. And that's the case here. That's lost. Looking at Rhodia paper, we have no bleeding, no real ghosting. It shows more on camera. No real ghosting. I would be comfortable using both sides of the paper. On the 1.1, we have no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen. Very little color variation. It doesn't seem to show up as well here as it did on the Clairefontaine. On the extra fine, no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen. Not a lot of the color variation. It's a dark ink here. 9 seconds to dry. On the medium, no feather, no spread, no echo, no sheen. We do get color variation though. It shows up in quick, in fox, in jumps. So it's nice. We start getting that color variation back. Just maybe on the extra fine, because it's such a thin line, we start losing that color variation. And when the medium gets us 11 seconds to dry, very much the same as the extra fine. So the line thickness is what's allowing or not allowing that line or that color variation to occur. Looking at the scrubbies, we see that the extra fine does not give us a color variation and the medium does. And in both of these smears, I would be able to recover this. So this is a good note-taking ink. I'm looking at TWSBI paper. So I like looking at pen manufacturers' paper because if they don't make good paper, I get a little disappointed with them. We have no bleeding, some ghosting, not horrible. I don't tend to use both sides of paper, so that's okay. On the 1.1, no feather, no spread, no echo, no sheen, no color variation. This is a very flat paper. It dries a little quicker than some other papers. I like it as a notebook. I don't like it to see a lot of the qualities of ink. On the extra fine, we see a lot of the same happen. No feather, no spread, no echo, no sheen, no halo, no color variation whatsoever. 8 seconds to dry. On the medium, no feather, no spread, no echo, no sheen, no halo. We do get some color variation. It occurs in jumps. It occurs in over. It occurs in the dry. But it's not all over. It's only in selected areas. So it makes me wonder if maybe I touched the paper here before I wrote, and that's what gave it to me. So if you want nice color variation, maybe the idea is to smear your hands all over and get your oils there. I don't know. Because when I look at a scrubby, I don't see color variation. Not in either the extra fine or the medium, but on the smear, I can recover it. I like TWSBI paper, but I know that it's not going to let me have some of the features of inks like sheen. It's not going to show up, which is okay. I don't like sheen. Last up, we have moleskin. Bleeding. We expect it. Not as much show-through as you would. Like normally I'll see bleeding and it's over. Not as much show-through as you would expect it. So that's, fair, I guess. It didn't beat up the page underneath. So it only bled this page, but it didn't go bleed all over the next page. This is a medium up top. And we have feathering. We have a little bit of spread. It's not horrible. You could use this. If this is just jot some notes, it's not the end of the world. With the extra fine, we still have feathering. We still have a little bit of spread. We have no halo, no sheen, no shade. 6 seconds to dry. We see in a scrubby we get nothing. We see in a smear you can actually kind of recover it. This wouldn't be the end of the world if I had to use it. You just can't use both sides of the page. So that's what I have for the writing sample.
Instead of finding inks that look like Private Reserve's Burgundy Mist, I would prefer to find a color that would complement its color on the page. I've chosen Robert Oster's Aqua because it's a very interesting turquoise. Before I give my opinion on this ink, I would ask, if you've enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. And if it's your first time here, I would invite you to subscribe. So what do I think of Private Reserve's Burgundy Mist? It's a deep, dark, rich red that definitely can give quite a bit of shading with a lot of different nibs on a lot of different papers. It's an interesting, absolutely interesting dark red. Very nice. Thanks for watching.